or intergenerational. But there's multi-generational trauma, one that has been passed on by our forebears to us. You recall in the Bible, there's this story about the children of Israel in Babylon. And of course, Jimmy Cliff sang it by the rivers of Babylon, where we sat down and wept when we remember Zion. So when they were asked to sing, they said, how can we sing the Lord's song in a strange land? We can't sing, but they were great singers. These people enjoyed their melody. Just sing for us. That probably could have been therapeutic. The perpetrators of trauma were probably themselves traumatized, or they were suffering from guilt for what they had done to them. Maybe they wanted to establish friendship, but no. This thing is going to stand in our way. We are not the same. You people have done so bad to us that we have nothing to share that is pleasant. Our post-traumatic stress disorder, usually a month or two after the event has occurred, then this trauma sets in. Acute trauma, if it is immediate and is related to the event that has just occurred. Yesterday, I was told in the hospital by a friend that in Dubai, somebody took his wife for medical care. She was a sick one. He was well, apparently. So when they checked the wife, they gave her a clean baby. So he said, okay, let me just take advantage of our visit to check myself. We still have money. Madame is not hospitalized. Then he goes and they said he had chronic heart problem. He got into acute shock and they didn't return. Acute trauma. Complex trauma. This is usually more related to events, multiple events, and circumstances and agencies. Now, I'll just take the time to bring this up to enable us deal with the subject matter of the day. What do we mean when we say people are resilient? What do we mean? We mean that people have the capacity to withstand difficulties. We mean that people have the capacity to recover, from their difficulties as soon as they experience them. We mean that people are surviving difficulties and are going through the experiences that they have. So how do you recognize resilient people? In their difficulties, in the face of adversity, they are confident. They don't lose faith. They are socially competent. Because it is these difficulties that challenge them, to mobilize resources from people. I will not suffer this alone. All right? I know this person has this kind of idea. I know this person has this strength. I know this person can connect me to a source of help. And so it goes on. They are good coping skills. They have a high sense of involvement. They are always committed with what they do. So these difficulties don't set them back. It doesn't, or these difficulties don't reduce their activities. You know, they just keep on keeping on. And they have this can-do spirit. Self-efficacy is not can-do spirit. And they have self-control. These are people who are said to be resilient. Healing, we're dealing with healing. Healing, can you go to that? Yes. Now, for somebody who is traumatized, healing can only take place if he or she has improved understanding and self-acceptance of personal strengths and flaws. There are many people who go through difficulties but are too proud to share their problems. They go it all alone. They have an exaggerated sense of strength. And so they go it and they keep going it all by themselves until they wear out. People who have realistic appraisal of personal life circumstances they heal very fast from trauma. People who have effective communication skills, especially the tendency to self-disclose and also engage. People who don't dodge the issue. People who are not avoidant have a very high propensity to heal from trauma than those who are reluctant. High quality social support and psycho-spiritual resources. If you have somebody standing for you, if you have somebody standing with you, then you go through your difficulties with ease. You recover very easily. And the tendency to get traumatized or remain traumatized is remote. Psycho-spiritual resources. Now, these sometimes is very offensive to many people because of the harm that our faith-based organizations have inflicted on people. As a matter of fact, when I started discussing my background issues, I did mention the harm that religion is causing humanity right now. Most of the times that people have gone for spiritual and religious counseling, they get worse than when they enter. In some of the new generation religious movements, but people who are worth their audience, who are faith-based leaders, improve humanity. In fact, as a matter of fact, when you eat spiritually spiritually guarded people, and you share your problems with them. You don't need a doctor. You don't need any other counselor, because they help you to appraise your circumstances holistically, and also to be able to come out in such a way that you don't need them anymore. Forgiveness readiness, very important. There was a time Olaji took me to what happened, and he was actually, because it was a radicalization process for ex-militants. I think they were about 60-something in number. Had just arrived, and it was evening when Bolaji said, "Prof, can you just come and see what we are doing? Probably say a word or two." I didn't think that I should meet them before my time, but I obliged him. So he gave me 10 minutes just to say something. And what I did was to try to meet them where they were at. I realized these people were people who were in the trenches because they were angry. They must have been offended by several factors. As a matter of fact, I think I remember that I told them that I just flew in from Abuja, from the north.
5 minutes to go, sir.
Okay. And then I just flew in from the north, from Abuja, that many of them had been angry about. Abuja, they had been angry about Abuja. And that, for me, the anger about Abuja was just symbolic. It was about several other things. And I had been told that they had taken conscious decisions to give up arms and not to fight. And I saw that as a very commendable step that each of them took. But I said, you see, it will not be complete if they didn't forgive Nigeria. If they did not forgive Nigeria, then their bold step would not be complete, because it would not lead to permanent behavior change. And that we needed them to come to the table and be major participants or contributors to national development. I went further to say they needed to forgive each other, because even in the trenches, there may have been some fights in their respective communities. I'm sure there were clashes, fights over resources, fights over who dominates who gets what. And you know, two people confessed to us that evening about plans that they had to kill, and they pointed at the people. They had completed their plans to kill, because this guy, in the process of fighting in the name of Niger Delta militancy killed my brother, he killed my father. When our villages clashed, he killed my brother, he killed my father. So now that he's in sight, I'll just do something at night, and people will wake up with a big surprise about forgiveness readiness. It's an indication of a healed trauma. Then internal attribution style, taking responsibility rather than blaming people makes the difference. Why is it so? What is my role in this? Or alternatively, what is the issue? Rather than looking for whom to blame. Readiness to seek help and to commit to interventions facilitates the healing process. At the national level, we need structures for social justice. We need to enliven our peace and reconciliation mechanisms. We need grievance management skills, and we also need our justice system to be impartial. Many people are traumatized, not because of disaster. They are traumatized not because of any stress they have suffered from relationships. They are traumatized not because they have lost anybody. They are traumatized because of miscarriage of justice. They are traumatized because when they got into trouble and looked for a means by which to redeem their problems, they found no one standing for them. Finally, there's what we call trauma-informed care. Trauma-informed care is a means by which people who are in position to provide trauma care do it with empathy. They use language that suits the mind. They create enabling environments that enables people to be happy, to be confident, to receive care. A trauma-informed care is a situation whereby the caregiver is also enabled to study himself, to find out how much of the care that is given impacts negatively on him or her, so that they will take care of burnout that is associated with caregiving, in order not to complicate their caregiving process. So trauma-informed care enables the carer to care for himself, or the carer to care for the client, and for carers to care for themselves, because every one of us needs the other person. So, ladies and gentlemen, these are ways by which trauma can be effectively healed if we build resilience and we establish appropriate structures for health seeking, establish structures that enable us to dispense social justice and constitutional justice as well.
we are moving from the more general issues around the subject matter to more concrete specialized dimensions of addressing the issue before us. Earlier in the day, I talked so much about the place of the victim. We are seeing different categorizations of victim. That's not the way I would put it, because even the person, the caregiver who might not have suffered anything directly, from my perspective, I consider him or her as a victim. So the trouble is really about how we manage that victim. Thank you so much. We will go into our time of question and answer discussion. And again, as I said before, I'm not so intelligent and tempted to summarize them. Much younger brain and sharper brain than my own here. So, some issue. Again, let's be straight, short, and direct to the point of the question, so that we can take as many as we can. Thank you. Floor is open. Yes, sir.
I want to begin by saying thank you, President. Thank you, President, for the lecture. My name is Joseph. I want to say mechanical resources from and I want to be a foundation for peace. I connect these subjects personally and somehow too, especially where I come from. I want to go to the fact that, the healing process in the traumatic experience, like rightly pointed out, and the acceptance of that reality that one has experienced. I'm an SCP of abortion. Yes, life. And I think I was also saved by grace because it did something. We went back, driving back from the function we went for a priest father seminar, and on our way back, we were trying to shake hands. And I was driving one, and I was actually leaving the bed. I actually cited the situation, and my spirit told me it was the serious situation I had. But it was the situation of, you died something, or you just solved it. They have started firing through my head. I knew my brother Chris driving behind me, saw the engine already, but I didn't give up. And I also a brother Chris seated driving beside me, with the whole serious ready, but ready to get to the next car after me, and they were all adopted. Invariably, 5 of us would have been adopted. Until today, the sound is sounding as simple as an iron plate is falling down beside me. Check this thing. It's the best experience with the soul of the dead present peace. And of course, negotiations, and we got 2 out. Now, just barely 3 weeks after, my own immediate elder brother, in Buhari here, opposite Veritas University, Buhari Abuja here, yes, about 6:30 p.m. Was returning back, he had to go. I am more outgoing and easily friendly with people like this, so they will come by his side. So his friend that also right now, his friend that visited him, and he kicked them out to the park. So driving back, he pumped into a situation. In the school of Independence, he was political period. A contestant of the local government chairmanship around Kaduna was actually killed around Veritas Sciences. He was killed alongside with his friend. My brother saw them killing these guys with bullets, but they raided their car. I think there was sentenced but for the fact that he saw the situation. They raided his car. It was also safety. Because I saw the bullet people in my hand because he was put on the car. This is an eye. So when I was called, I was walking because our work as spiritual hospitals, I was in Oklahoma at that time. The following day, I just said, they say there are cops in Buhari General Mortuary, and so we go there, if my process cops, and I thank you to God, we bury him and I go home. But not the only cops, also I wanted to, then deposited. I already knew he had been taken. So, just barely 2 to 3 weeks after my personal experience, I had to engage in negotiation. It came to the markets, but gracefully, exactly a week after, we were able to get some 5.2 million with a bank, and they had even given us instructions from how they will take that money and we just quickly obeyed and got it out. This is my point of emphasis in relation to accepting. I accepted what was gift, and I knew I needed it. When my bishop asked me, "Will you want to be posted out?" I said, "No, I'll continue working where I am," which was even local my city here. "Will you want to go for studies?" I said, "Whatever the church, but right now, I want to visit our Cycle Spiritual Center, which is in Asoko. And I was there for 1 solid month, doing nothing. Just wake up, go to chapel, eat, and. But when my brother came out, I told him, "Bros, you need to leave that environment." He said he was fine. He resisted. I had to force him out, rent a different apartment. They have to leave the house. So I think the point I'm making is sometimes some persons will live with denial that they need help. And I think I saw my elder brother in that situation. Until I insisted that he needed it. And after moving himself, the wife who had just given birth in months, and they are out of the environment, renting a new space for them. Also sent him to that Cycle Spiritual Center of our archdiocese. And I said, "Fathers, because my fellow priests are there managing put him in that place for 3 solid months. We'll pay whatever it was necessary to pay." So my point of emphasis is the fact of acceptance of the fact that certain experiences are traumatic, and of course the consequences of such experiences will always live with us. Just like myself and all who are privileged to have escaped and still walking the streets of our country. Now, part of my conversations with the gentlemen, I call them gentlemen, who were involved in this act of adopting is that we are bearing the consequences of what our government did to them. One of us made reference, on the lecture, yes, the previous lecture made reference for, how many young people with guns using them as political tools for concrete, and after elections, they are not settled or there is a bypass in the negotiations with them, and of course, help them will just get loosened or loose and such. So in all of these, beyond this stakeholder meeting such as this, I think we need to keep the conversation going. And government simply to sit up because it is getting worse and worse every day. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. It's impressive that the discussion on trauma is kicking off from some of these. It seems that we can stay at the strategic level, at the national level, and look like, oh, we need that. Some of the critical issues are. And they are there. And I think some of the people I pity most in all this are men and women in uniform. Even in the United States, where the structure fairly strong to support the the stories, some of the stories are bad. But our own environment, some of when I was in Joseph, there was hardly any part of the conflict areas in the Northeast that I did not go. And I survived the Boko Haram ambush. And I mean, our military men who were with me were marvelous. I mean, between Ikwa and Alpha, coming from Cameroon. This was the road from behind. I just say fire and myself in front of the eyes that they screaming, shoot them go. The reaction, the way the soldiers reacted. They looked still life out of how many of them, and many of them did. But some of my staff survived me once and to recover. Was a challenge. Talking about burials and reactions, my son was kidnapped. I have a farm around there. My son and his friend will come. Yeah, around 3 p.m. They ran into 8 of bullets. The vehicle was gently ground. In the bush for how many days? On this very short, I couldn't get myself to go near that company. You were alone. The same with me, I was even me, but I couldn't go near the family. Initially, we have the workers to somebody, but it's not safe. And that is the end of the family. Shut down. Because after that, they say you finish the farm and destroy it. There's nobody who will go there. As for January last year, my sister-in-law went for a wedding in Kachia. The evening after the wedding, they came to the hotel and carried 16 of them. Start there, and I got a call from them. In negotiations, for 2 weeks, we were talking with him. And it got to the point that we had even become friends. Or the song that, but even after we had played a huge ransom, and they had leased, they called me. You only send the money you need. Yes, I think even the motorcycle that I wanted motorcycle for them now. All that. They were saying only just a chance. That's how much they thought that I would become their friend. But that lady, one of the ladies they didn't know how was to put her leg in a plastic bag, carry it and set it on fire. 1 year after, because she had to be, the leg was not the grace of God, it was not amputated. But 1 year after, following serious skin grafting and other things, the leg is still in bandage 1 year after. Our security and our environment is generating so many challenges that we take for granted. What do we do to reassure people, including the state institutions? Including the state institutions. Because, like my sister-in-law, the people who were calling, I call them freely. I will make noise about GSM and the E number and all this, I don't understand. There was nobody I did not reach. And what was interesting was some of the critical officers telling me, oh, the people, this is their number, isn't it? I say, yes. So they even had the numbers of these guys. And they told him, they are some of the most dangerous guys, so just negotiate with them quickly and pay. Because they kill easily. And all those sadly adds to the trauma of the citizen. Because there are so many Nigerians today that you cannot get to move anywhere. Not because you don't have a need to travel, but experiences they have had, experiences of others, has pushed them to such a point that they are recluses in their homes. You know, and so, but back to the religion. So, from the national perspective, Nigeria needs healing. People need healing. People are traumatized. Anyway, it's not the tempest. Part of the purpose of the law is contributes to the healing. So that the questions and answers about these things.
Thank you very much, Professor Somali. Your lecture is innovative. You have brought out the right steps. Ordinarily, I even well, I have a question. And my question is concerning Boko Haram victims. What are the common psychological and cognitive challenges that Boko Haram victims face as a result of trauma in their area? The post-traumatic stress disorder. So I want to know how to go about reviving this after seeing the loss, in the hands of Boko Haram terrorists. The second one is post-traumatic stress disorder. How does untreated trauma contribute to cycles of violence and hinder reconciliation efforts in conflict-affected society?
Thank you very much. You just said that most victims of Boko Haram attack suffer post-traumatic stress disorder. But it's much more than that. In mental health circles, we are talking about co-occurring disorders. So it's possible for someone to suffer from PTSD, suffer from anxiety disorder, suffer from depression, suffer from attention deficit, hyperactivity disorder, and so on and so forth. So there are disorders of movement, there are disorders of emotions, the rightly observed, disorders of the intellect. And the disorders of the intellect are usually related to memory problems. Sometimes people even confabulate. You see a very well-dressed person charismatic person who is cognitively dissociated, who knows that there is a gap in memory to fill, is ashamed to let people know that. So what he does is to formulate a story to fill that gap. It is when he is trying to fill the gap that you see the contradictions in his narration, or you see the fracture of his ideation that you now recognize that something is really wrong. So these issues there. There are times that even such serious problems can lead to speech problems. Stammering, for instance, because the person was captured, the person was beaten, the person was not allowed to respond to anything. All they wanted was tell us who your father is, give us his number, how much does he have. Don't say anything more than that, or if it's a woman, she's very serious, who want to have this one. So it becomes very difficult now to have a voice that can actually have the meditation to tell your own story, to organize your thought in such a way that people will hear you, who will understand you, and do something about it. This is affected. So this is it. Now people bottle up. People bottle up. Not just due to treated trauma, but because of their unwillingness to forgive. We did a study in segregated settlements, and we tried to check how forgiveness and readiness is related to the incidence of trauma. And we found out that in settlements where we had a higher number of people who were unwilling to forgive those who attacked their communities and killed their relations, there was a higher incidence of trauma. And in the opposite, where people say, the act of God, there's nothing we can do. Let this thing pass and let us get on. We hope that we become friends again, so on and so forth. So let me tell you this, and this is the area in which I think that the medical profession or the medically related professions need to step up. Anything that is not clinical is not regarded as relevant to evidence. This is not right. It is not right at all. Because the circle of violence that we see in Nigeria is based on historical trauma. The victims past lecturer will tell us that when we negotiated independence and we got this independence, it wasn't for Nigeria. People went back to their regions. All right? And what they were doing was preaching regional eco issues. That is why when you listen to some of our elders, it is very easy to know where their problems started and where they are. Now, I don't see any reason why somebody who is a Yoruba, whose ethnic group has is one of the largest in Nigeria. You still be talking about the Yoruba nation. The Hausa man is talking about the usually you just say Hausa nation. But when the Hausa man tells you the North, Hausa Fulani, they tell you about the North, they are actually alluding to an ethnic entity. They are talking about a nation state. That's the meditation. Alright? And what are we seeing in the East? So what do the rest of us do who don't belong to these three nomenclatures? What do we do? Alright? And so the minorities have started it too. The other day, I'm a black person. The other day, I was in a conference, and they were talking about the black nation, and I said, stop this nonsense. Stop this nonsense. We can't go the way other people are doing it. For God's sake, everybody in this country matters, and we all need each other. So when this kind of classifications come, you have just set up the gunpowder. The slightest trigger will erupt violence. So untreated trauma is a temple. People who are unhappy, people who are still shocked of previous things that have happened to them, and how do you know the memories? Because that's where our traumas reside. They reside in the skin, in the memories of our skin. They do. Neurologically, they do. Please find a way. Please find a way. And the fact that you go for treatment does not mean you are good. It only means you want to overcome this thing so that you will be of the best contribution to the country, to your family, and to your community in the manner that you should be. I hope I've answered it. Yeah. Yes.
About the person should forgive. Now, a situation where I'm being traumatized by activities of Boko Haram, and at the same time, they are asking me to come to integration to forgive and reconcile. Why those people are still operating somewhere else? On what ground, what basis will I stand up to say, okay, because of this, let me go into reconciliation?
You're asking me the same question that one of them asked us in 2014 or 15 in Maiduguri. We started thinking about what to do with repentant Boko Haram people. You know, when you deradicalize them, you need to return them to society, you need to integrate them, reintegrate them. But how do you integrate them without touching base with their communities? Where they came from? Or where we anticipate they are likely to be taken into. So, the Kuka Foundation, in conjunction with the Neri Foundation or something, organized a 3-day town hall where we had government officials, community leaders, religious leaders, and NGOs. The simple question was, how feasible do you think it is for ex-combatant to be reintegrated how willing you think your people will be to take them in. And one mama at that time, she was 70 years old. She stood up and said, "Stop this nonsense. I have more than 200 people here, 200 girls in my house right now." Initially, they were guided by the Joint Task Force. But now it is even very difficult for me to release these girls to go and fetch water because members of the Joint Task Force will label them. So I have two enemies, Boko Haram and members of the Joint Task Force. How do we expect them to forgive them? At my age, I'm not willing to get into battle. If I get a gun, I will fight. And anyone who has done harm to my people, to my girls, to my children, to my husband, it was a woman. I'm going to fetch. It is actually very difficult. So when we say forgiveness, readiness, we are not mindful of the cost that this prevents us, the people. But at the same time, what we are advocating for is what Paul was talking about, national healing. Because at the individual level, you can't forgive no one. You can forgive no one. At the individual level, until you are convinced that the government that leads you has emplaced mechanisms by which you will thrive, you will enjoy safety, that the issues of security, human security, have been addressed by the new interventions that government has put in place. Then, when you hear about the Boko Haram person, probably you won't have fear, right? You'll be looking forward to having a chat with him. In a state of anger, you will look forward to a point where you will accuse him, you will abuse him. But by so doing, you will be releasing pent-up emotions, releasing anger. And by the time you have let out something, I'm not sure you will have much more, to drive your attitudes, to guide your attitudes towards him, to lead you into vengeance against him. Rather, you will be in a position where you have to deal with himself. Because most of these people are people whose hopes, whose faith in this country called Nigeria has been fractured. Alright? But there are also people who have been misinformed, who have been misled by errant ideologies, who need to be won back by counter narratives. And you can't win somebody if you are antagonizing them. So the only way we can is to continue to establish platforms for national reconciliation, to preach it, to mean it, to act it.
Thank you very much. So, I think this is where our colleagues from the in building our innovation capacities in this country. Because if I get to part of the challenge, I know the question was raised earlier on in the other session about when it's time, when the conflict is right for resolution, and so on. When you bring conflicting parties together at a certain stage without having carried out some of the critical necessary actions that you need, including engaging one-on-one and addressing the critical concerns of those individuals, and you bring them together, you are going to escalate the problem. Exactly. You only escalate the problem. And so what I say, there is so much work to do with communities. And there's not much being addressed by the community. Yes, Operation Safe Corridor is doing a lot, but I know that at the beginning, when you just carry these people, put them there, and brought them that communities should receive them, and you what the reaction of communities were. It was bad. They said, under what circumstances? The communities have not been prepared. They have not been engaged. They too need healing. And then you bring these people and you just say, oh, they have been taken care of. You can now accept them. Even for us in security support from them, we actually, because they called us and they said, oh, this was how we did it. So find economic need for that. We are not part of it. This is not what we are here for. We don't know them. And we don't know how soon, we can be ready to engage some of these people. So all of them really is engaging to reconciliation, engaging and preparing the parties for reconciliation, including the trauma healing, is so critical. Reconciliation will not just there are critical steps, and I really still want to see what serious steps as a nation we are taking in this. I keep emphasizing how many times I'm emphasizing this to really see what are we doing in this regard to address the seriousness, of these issues. Yes, there might be pockets of things here and there, but how can we coalesce these things into some serious national response mechanisms to the critical challenge that we have? We really need to work in that direction. And finally, sir, I thought you have your hand up.
Well, sir, I was going to for the lecture and also speak to an issue you raised at the beginning.
Yes, sir.
You had spoken about democracy and weak governance and anything we do attitude we have with workplaces. So down the line, I was thinking of get that in the workplace because nothing oppresses you more than being sidelined and mediocres. It's the same mediocre that go on for all these rush programs that you're talking about. We do something for us. It's all about options. It's all about what can we quickly package and make money from it. And then package it and push it to the next one. We've done our own work. Not well talk about us. And these are the same issues that pop up to fight us. Following my first behind in Nigeria. Half of that here, half big individuals, people not ready for office, leaving office for some people who are around family. It's my type of work. So I was hoping to shed a bit of light on that. Because the issue you spoke to accumulated so many.
All right. thank you. I think virtually everybody has addressed this matter. But for the sake of the issue of organizational justice is at its lowest ebb in Nigeria. This is a country whereby the best breeds serve the worst breeds. That is it. And it's becoming such an order. And you know these terrible people, these dollars, they're so reckless, ruthless in taking organizational responsibility such that they try to come to do their bidding. And because they know that you live by values, and that you are not corrupt, but you don't have any support base to thrive in the system, what they do is to continue to intimidate you by denying your rights, by also ensuring that you don't thrive financially, so that in hunger you bow to them. This is happening in politics. This is happening in ivory towns, universities, unfortunately. This is happening practically everywhere. So it appears that the best, not my words, the best that you and I can do is just wish for the best. And that is a very, very terrible state of affairs. And in any country, you can't just wish for the best. You have to work for the best. So when you hear a professor say, well, you God will help us in this country, or a general say, so only God will help us. Or a clergyman, of course, the clergyman has the right to keep saying only God can help us. Because that is his stock in trade, to build faith. But there are many times that when they are even saying it, no, their spirit, their tone is not different from yours. The mood. So it's something that we really have to address in our little corner. We must address these things to ensure that there is justice. If somebody is due for anything, giving his rights. If there is a violation, there will be sanctions, or some form of redress. Let's ensure that we run our organizations by the books. We're not running these things by the books. I was in a meeting the other day. It's a meeting that I attended about 5 times. We have a new leader opposite to the place as the chairman of the committee. And in his executive capacity, he brings in a PA, not an employee of the organization. He just brings in someone who will take care of his interests. By the next meeting, the person is sitting in a very comfortable place on the table. He has now assumed the place because he studied what happened the last time. He got confidence. Oga has now told him, next time. You are married, yes. Nobody will do anything. Now, if by the 15th meeting, how the former secretary is done. Now you have new people, surrogates of the leader, the chairman of the committee, who do not have institutional memory, who are now taken over by force. To do what? To do what? Other than run down the system. And these are the things that are happening. The moment I become a minister, the first thing that I think about is my younger brother. My younger brother becomes my special assistant. My cousin becomes my PA. Everybody is shut down. Now, directors in the ministry cannot stay in until they see these boys. How can they work? So I agree with you. I think you didn't ask a question, you just raised a concern. I just agree that it is an area of focus for those of us who really want to be in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This has been an interesting one. Touching on each one of both, personally, nationally. So thank you so much. We've come to the end of this session. We've had quite some period of engagement, interaction. The interaction has been promoted. Sincere, honest. And I look forward to some capacity that is already being built, minds that have been strengthened, decisions that are being made on how we are going to move forward towards justice and reconciliation in our nation. For those activities. Once again, thank you as I hand over my microphone to the course
And thank you. Please, another round of our chairman. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. With your kind permissions, I would like to call on the lady as a guide to present a plan to our resource person. Please round of applause for the
It's really a great privilege given this opportunity to thank our erudite speaker, Dr. Andrew Saman, having treated us with educative, informative, and very good lecture on trauma and deadness experience. And I would like to say at this point that we are all representing Nigeria here, and it is our onerous responsibility to make sure we fast forward the process so that we can come back to a peaceful nation and a glorious nation. Thank you very much. On this note, I will say thank you for the lecture. It is usually said that we don't have all the other of the PPP and the participants of the criminal justice and reconciliation comes to no people have silver. But this one has been going quite a very example as a member. Thank you. And God.
Please let's be on time tomorrow 9 o'clock. The late lunch is ready.